Hey everybody, it's Joe. My friends at Polymaker sent me one of their Polyshers and 2 rolls of their PolySmooth filament, the filament that prints like PLA but smooths like acetone with, PolySmooth. Yeah, no, it's the Polysher and PolySmooth, okay. Hey everybody, it's Joe, and my friends at Polymaker sent me one of their polishers and 2 rolls of their PolySmooth filament. I got to play with it. I had a lot of really cool experiments, and I have to admit, I didn't get the idea of this thing at first, but now I kind of do, and maybe what I figured out will help you decide to maybe check this thing out. Hey, quick note from the editing desk before we get started today. I got 4 really cool ornaments from John Q this week that I wanted to show you guys. It's got this little, like, dual color and gimbally mechanism in them. I think that's super awesome. That is absolutely beautiful. John Q also has a 3D printed business card, which is an idea that I've long been wanting to do, but I didn't think I could do it this good. So John, you've inspired me. Thank you. Guys, it's getting close to time. Send in those ornaments. I can't wait to get these hung up. All I need to do is figure out what did I do with the hooks that I bought so I could put these all on the tree. Don't you hate when you do that? I know it may seem early, but believe it or not, Christmas is just around the corner, and I've got a huge project that I need your help to be able to complete in time. You can help raise money for Children's Hospital simply by 3D printing an ornament for a Christmas tree. Check the cards for a video with more information. I'm just loading up a chess set printed into PolySmooth filament, as well as a supporter brick from the Low Poly Dino Kickstarter. Ginny Newman, thank you very much. This particular tile has a picture of the Spinosaurus that you requested. That was your, for being a $100 backer, you could pick that, and that's what you picked. But I think maybe this one's just gonna have to lay down, which means I think that is all that we're gonna be able to put in here. We'll take that one out and we'll save these ones for the second batch. So the Polysher is a specialty filament. This filament prints like PLA, despite what it says on the box. If you look at the box for them, it recommends a print temperature of 210 to 230 Celsius, which is ABS temperatures. Ignore the box. Print it lower temperature. It's pretty much PLA temperature. That's the best place to start at. And a combination of a $300 polisher. Now, what is this $300 polisher? Well, first of all, it's super high-tech and beautiful. I mean, there we go. It's just cool. You load your prints up in here. It's got a little platform that it sits the pieces on, and it goes around. It is a little slow. Yeah, but it is automatic, and that's super cool. Now, inside of here, there's a little reservoir that you fill up with the isopropyl alcohol. And I like that this stuff smooths with a cheap material. That was one of the things that I really enjoyed about ABS, was that you could smooth it with acetone, and you can get acetone anywhere, but smoothing PLA required a chemical called tetrafluorine, which is hard to get, and you need to use a lot of it, and very expensive. It was frustrating. I played with smoothing PLA in the past, and it's just not easy. I have seen people have actually good experience smoothing certain PLAs with acetone, but again, and there's a lot of different PLA formulations. That's not your regular PLA. Most PLA will not smooth that way, but this stuff will smooth with just alcohol. Now I'm going to turn the dial, set it up, and then the little nebulizer in here starts gassing the alcohol, and it does so in a way reminiscent of the death chamber from the old Flash Gordon movies. It's vaporizing the alcohol without heat, and that's super exciting because one, vaporized alcohol is flammable, and so any amount of heat on there is a potential danger, but it's also exciting because it means that you're not heating up the print, which in the past when I've smoothed ABS prints, that's been a big problem. ABS, when you heat up the print, it causes the air bubbles inside the print. Yes, there is air caught inside the print even at 100%. And it causes those air bubbles to expand and sometimes come to the surface, and it causes zits. But a lack of heat will solve that problem. And so Polysher solves that problem by just having a nebulizer in there. Now this is cool, and this is fun, and this is absolutely fantastic, but this is also $300, and are you going to actually use their filament and use their process? Is it really worth doing all of this? It seems like a lot. It seems like a lot to get a specialty filament and a $300 piece just so you can play with it, but I found out that you don't actually need the Polysher in order to do this. Now I apologize to my friends at Polymaker because I do think that people should check this out if they want to do it, but if you want to get in lower, and I do believe in fail cheap as often as you can, you don't need the Polysher. There are other ways to make this happen. These two prints were polished not in the Polysher, and the result looks just as good as in the Polysher. In fact, I've got a print that I lost around here somewhere of one of these that, looking at them from the top, you can't tell the difference, but looking at them from the bottom, this one has some markings that indicates that I used my vapor pot to polish this one. Now, the vapor pot I did in the past for ABS, and I showed you how to do that. It's the same exact process. You take the print, put it in the bottom of the vapor pot, add a little bit of acetone to the bottom, turn on the heat just long enough to get the vapor flowing through there, and then turn off the heat and just let it sit. Now this is a hot method, and so if you forget to turn off the heat, or if you get the heat too high, it might cause your print to fail. I also had a problem where I printed a couple of small low poly Raptors to begin with, and you might notice that this one is super squished down. Yeah, the heat caused this one and this one that didn't succeed exactly to fall down and fail and squish, and it wasn't a good time. So the heat can be really bad on small prints. On bigger prints, it can stand up to the heat a little bit more, but it does get it soft while it's doing it. And that's one thing that I discovered. So while this Polymaker filament does print at PLA temperatures, it'll actually print lower than PLA temperatures. I found this stuff actually melts a lot easier in a hot car, in all sorts of circumstances. Well, actually, I can't quite say that because I left this one in my car on a hot day, but I didn't commit to the heat. I didn't leave my car out in the sun because I was going to be driving it later on, so I left it in the shade. I think I might have accidentally annealed this print, which is good. It's good that it can anneal the prints, but it turned out okay. But some of the other ones totally melted in the sun, and I think worse than PLA melts in the sun. So that's not a strike, or that's not a point in its favor. It's kind of a strike against it. But still, it allows you to smooth, and that smoothing bonds the layers and makes it a stronger print, so that's a plus. It's full of pluses and minuses. One thing I did find out about this filament is that it does not like to stick to build tack. If you have build tack on your 3D printer, you're going to need to cover that either with glue or with, I'd like to take some hairspray, spray it on my fingers and rub it on there. But on my old reliable Replicator 1 that has a metal build plate that is just coated in hairspray, it stuck just fine. Hairspray, man, nothing gets away from it. So if you're printing on pure build tack and on a machine that prints only PLA, yes, you can do it, but you're going to have to gunk up your build tack in order to do it. And that might be less desirable to you. But if you've got a modified 3D printer, then this is a fantastic thing. So what are we talking about here? Modified 3D printer in order to use their filament, but you don't need to have the expensive Polysher. So maybe just get a roll of filament and try it out. Now, if getting a steamer pot is a little bit much for you, I did find an even cheaper method, and it was the method I used to smooth the Dimetrodon. It only cost me $1 plus the alcohol and the filament, but it only cost me $1 to smooth. It is a spray bottle filled with alcohol. Yep, if you just take this part, put it in a kitchen sink or a bathroom sink or even just outside someplace, and then you just mist it slightly with the spray bottle filled with alcohol, mist it generously. The results are a smooth that is identical to what comes out of the Polysher or what you could do in the steamer pot, and it only costs $1. Just spray it, let it cool. Now, I did have some stickage. My print got a little bit melty around the edges and it stuck to the sink where I was spraying it in, much to the chagrin of my wife. So be careful about where you place it. But the final result is gorgeous. It absolutely looks fantastic. Now, I did talk to the people at Polymaker and I said, you know, as much as I'm enjoying this thing, it's kind of frustrating to me that it only does alcohol. I think this thing would be fantastic if I could put acetone in there and vaporize acetone without heat. And they said, well, considering the fact that we made the whole thing out of ABS, that might not be a good idea.
For behind-the-scenes information, step-by-step instructions of the builds featured, and much more, visit 3dpprofessor.com.
Now, if you try out the PolySmooth and you get it to print well and you figure out those settings and you're happy with it and you think, you know what, I'm going to be doing a lot of this. I really like the finish that this produces. I really like the way that it makes these prints look and feel, and not just feel, but strengthened. It bonds those layers better together. And after experimenting with it, you think, you know what, I want the Polysher. I'm going to go get it and do it. I think that that's the right way to go about it. Start cheap, start easy, try it out. Just get a spray bottle and spray it on there, or if you have an old vapor pop from your ABS days like I do, you can go ahead and use that. And then after you've tried it a couple times, if you're committed to it, if you realize you've run through an entire roll of their filament without even thinking about it, and you've got a lot of prints that you're happy with, it's time to buy the accessory that does it. Because honestly, this thing is the most sci-fi accessory I have ever seen for 3D printing, and I'm super excited to have it. I can just watch this thing go all day long. It's absolutely gorgeous, and it does a very gentle job of smoothing out your prints. So I do recommend it if you get to that point, but I also recommend start easy, start cheap, try just a roll of their filament and see if you like it. So that's my experience with the Polymaker and Polysher. Try it out. Check it out and tell me what you think about it, or tell me what you think about it in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. And as always, I want to thank you very much for watching to this point. Big thanks to my Patreon backers, and thanks to Ginny and all of my low poly dyno supporters. If you would like the low poly dyno models, they're still available on my website, 3dpprofessor.com. You can go check them out and buy them there. But I'm going to take some of these and turn them into ornaments for the Children's Hospital, and I'm going to tell you how I'm going to do that, how you can take just junk prints another time. But until then, thank you very much. Safety first, and I'll see you next time. We have no script, and I am feeling super cramped in today. Let's do it.